Bam. All right. Recapping from last week, Xbox had their business update. The short version is some of the exclusives that people were throwing around that might go to other platforms, such as PlayStation, were debunked, and they have released the list of games that are going to go out to Switch and PlayStation. I say Switch too because we did see in the Nintendo Direct Grounded is coming to Switch. But we're going to get Grounded, Pentiment, we couldn't remember that one, Hi-Fi Rush, and Sea of Thieves. So these are the games, the 4 games, that will be going cross-platform. Besides PC and Xbox. Out of all these games, I'll just say this right off the bat. The only one I want to mention out of all these games that I think is the biggest deal is probably Sea of Thieves. That game has still has a well-established and running community. I'm not saying Hi-Fi Rush and Grounded aren't or Pentiment aren't gonna be great and maybe well received. Hi-Fi Rush might be really well received on those other platforms too, but
I think Hi-Fi Rush might do pretty well on Steam or PlayStation. Yeah.
But Sea of Thieves is an established game community that I think would work pretty well on PlayStation in particular. So that one to me, right off the bat, jumped out at me as
I assume that one is gonna be cross-platform if they go to PlayStation. That everyone's gonna be able to play it together, like Xbox, PC. It's I don't know if they're putting it on Steam, but if they put it on Steam and then PlayStation as well, so
right. So I think that one.
That would be stupid if it wasn't cross-platform. That would be really dumb. So
no, they wouldn't. Sea of Thieves already can do Steam, is on Steam by the way, and can do Steam, Xbox platform, and I mean PC and console. So it is cross-platform. They'll just add PlayStation, and I don't know about Switch. That game might work on Switch actually.
I feel like it could be okay on Switch.
It could work. I don't know. I just thought Sea of Thieves in particular was really interesting. All these were rumored. Apparently, after the business update video, it was these 4. I think Hi-Fi Rush is really a cool one coming to other platforms like PlayStation. I don't know anything about Pentiment, so I'll skip that one for now.
I've not. I don't think I've even heard of that game before this. I don't even know what it is.
I don't know. And Grounded, I don't know. I don't know how big the community of Grounded is, so can't really say. Yeah, that's all I have to say about that. I think Sea of Thieves and Hi-Fi Rush are going to be probably well received. Anything else?
Yeah, I agree. I'm just looking at Pentiment on Steam.
Okay.
Oh, this is made by Obsidian. Historical narrative-driven game focused on character development.
Okay.
It's like an indie-ish looking game. It's stylized art, but it's like a it kind of looks like a VN type game, just kind of like a story driven game.
Gotcha.
Interesting. Yeah, I've never heard of it before.
Okay. Interesting that they threw that in the bucket. Okay. Anything else to add besides just Pentiment?
Nope. Again, these were the 4 that were rumored, I believe. I know maybe some people threw around a few others, but we, at least on the podcast from we had heard, I had remembered Grounded, Hi-Fi Rush, and Sea of Thieves, and those were three of the 4. So
yep,
yeah,
good stuff. We'll see how they do actually once they jump over to Switch or PlayStation or both. Okay, we got a couple in a row. I'll talk about it more later. I put in our topics, I don't really want to talk about a specific game I've been playing, but let's just chat real quick about kind of the state of gaming, okay? And we'll lump all 3 of these together. So we're going to lump the 3 together. That is Suicide Squad, Helldivers, and Nightingale. So I'm going to lump all these together because I do want to just kind of briefly give an opinion on the state of gaming in 2024, okay? Only in 2024. Last part of that. So first off, Suicide Squad did not meet expectations, which nobody should be surprised about. Warner Brothers admitted it during an earnings call. They had an earnings call and they said it didn't meet expectations, unlike something like Hogwarts Legacy. Nobody should be shocked. On the other hand, you jump immediately to something like Helldivers, which blew away, I'm sure, their expectations, and they're raising their server caps to 700,000 concurrent users. In fact, Arrowhead has released a number of patches in a bid to combat the problem of concurrent users and not having enough server space. So they raised the server space before to 500,000, and it's just going to keep going up. This game, I think, I'm like getting more people. They're like, oh, by the way, do you know Helldivers? Have you played Helldivers? Helldivers is amazing. It's so fun. Blah blah blah. You've probably heard or news like on Twitter or something like that where the developer is saying no PvP. We're just trying to make a fun game where you work together. So, and the reason why they're doing all this, by the way, is wait times. Wait times have been a problem. So server issues. But like the game is really fun. It's really popular. I mean, if your biggest problem is there's too many players playing, that's a good problem to have.
Your biggest problem is there's too many players who want to play your game.
So super big contrast, right? I'm not saying nobody wants to play Suicide Squad, but a really marginal fraction compared to something like Helldivers. And then Nightingale, I'm only mentioning this because I played it recently, but more just like Nightingale, Last Epoch, other games. They'll like come out and again, they just don't have enough server space. People are jumping in and playing it. So obviously Nightingale must have had like a pretty sizable response. But in this case, I'm not sure if it was like a server capacity issue or something else, but Last Epoch, we talked about it before the stream, they had too many players playing it that the servers could handle. So again, good problem to have. You have too many people playing it. Nightingale is a $30 game. Last Epoch, that's a $30 game right now. 35. It's a $35 game. Helldivers is like a $40 game. Okay? So you have multiple games that are like $35 to $40 coming out. And like we can also add in games like Lethal Company, like really small, I'll say indie studio, maybe at most AA. Okay? Studios. They're bringing out games that are like 10 to 30 bucks. And they really only have like one feature that really works well. Like Lethal Company has just one sort of aspect to it. Helldivers has one aspect to it. I mean, Nightingale's a survival game, so it's a little bit different, but like there's nothing to it. It's a survival game. There's no like extra microtransactions, or, you know. And there's other games that are coming, like Power World. Power World comes out. It is just a survival game. There's no additional microtransactions that I've seen still. It's just a survival game. The gameplay loop is, frankly speaking, when you look at it, it's pretty straightforward. Okay, so you have a bunch of straightforward gameplay loops. They're all really fun, and they all cost like $30 at most, maybe $35. And then you have Suicide Squad, where the gameplay loop is an absolute fucking mess. Apparently, until you get to the end game, in which it gets better. It's just like built to, I don't even know what to say. Like, it's built for the profit margin. I mean, every game is built to make money to a certain extent, but like this game is so obvious that they're trying to hit a certain profit margin here. You're building a game that inherently probably could be fun, but is like combating a bunch of other issues involving trying to be like this AAA, or as Ubisoft puts it, quadruple A, like Skull and Bones.
Quadruple A, Skull and Bones.
And they're coming out at like $70, and people are like, well, I don't want to invest $70 in this thing that's just going to be okay. I'm just going to put $40 into something like Helldivers that's going to be an absolute blast with a couple people and a really simple gameplay loop. Or I'm going to pay $10 for Lethal Company to play a really simple gameplay loop that is infinitely fun. I can play Lethal Company way longer than Suicide Squad. I can tell you that much. And I think looter shooters can be really fun. Like Suicide Squad's looter shooter. They can be really fun. I would much rather pay $10 to play Lethal Company with a few people for 10 hours than Suicide Squad by myself, or even with like a couple people for 10 hours. So I guess what I'm getting at is 2024 might be the year where the $30 to $40 game, the like non-AAA game, might just dominate sales. It might just dominate sales numbers.
I mean, I think in some cases, yes. I think Final Fantasy is going to go wild this week. Like, that game is going to... It's not going to be Power World. It's not going to be 25 million. But it's going to be, like, probably at least, like, 3, 4, 5 million, maybe even more. I mean, it is
So-
a PS5 exclusive, so that hurts a little bit. But
You have a AAA game. It's a PS5 exclusive, so granted, it's not going to sell as much as if it was in every platform.
Yeah.
And the Helldivers is going to outsell it. It's just like you get this $40 game. It's got a very simple gameplay loop, not built to be AAA, and it's just going to outsell a bunch of these AAA games. And it's because I think people just want fun stuff. They just want to have fun.
Yeah.
Some people just want to have fucking fun rather than getting completely engrossed into this.
Novel fucking concept.
I know.
Gamers like playing fun games.
Right.
And games that put like gameplay, and the developers just want to make a fun ass game first.
Right.
These publishers are just getting too greedy, and obviously they're big companies, so it's money first. It's all about money, but they don't care about making a fun game.
Right.
And it's showing that in these companies, that these smaller like indie devs that are like, hey, we just want to make a fun ass game. That's number one, and they're killing it. And I pulled up the Steam charts for Suicide Squad, Last Epoch, Pal World, and Helldivers.
It's probably just unreal.
So where do you want to start? Which one do you
Tell
want to start?
me Suicide Squad. I know Suicide Squad's is really bad.
Suicide Squad, all-time peak, 13,459.
Right.
Which is, it's not horrible, but that's not AAA numbers.
For a live service game that just came out, that's not good.
Yeah, this game came out 3 weeks ago on February 3rd. So
it's not good for that.
Current 894.
It gets to 500 at certain times of the night too. It gets really bad.
Yeah.
It's 3 a.m.
Overnight,
yeah.
I'm sure.
Now tell me Last Epoch. Out of all those games, I imagine Last Epoch is the smallest.
It is, yeah. Last Epoch just came out on official 1.0 release. It's been around. It's been in early access for like 5 years or something.
Yeah, sure.
Like that. Very, very long time.
But official release here.
Current and 24-hour and all-time peak is like right now 233,625.
And that's just, I think this is just the problem. Is I'm not saying Suicide Squad, by the way. There's probably a fun game somewhere in where I think the gun mechanics and like stuff. There's probably something fun there.
Yeah, there's some fun to be had in Suicide Squad. It doesn't seem like it's a terrible game. It's not Redfall, and it's not like Gollum from last year, right?
And
like there's something there.
I'm sure when Rocksteady was handed a slip of paper that said you have to make this, they wanted to make it as fun as possible. That I almost guarantee that. Obviously, they're like we need to make this as fun and like the gameplay loop is as good as possible, given we were handed a slip of paper that said make us a DC looter shooter. So the problem is when the publisher defines too much of that vision, it takes away from what the developer can do here. Like Rocksteady doesn't make looter shooters. So it's like, well, you're putting them in a position where they're not as passionate probably about the project as they could have been.
I mean, that's what happened. That's what happened with Redfall. They were just like, Bethesda was like, "Yep, make us go." What the hell? Arcane, make us a freaking looter shooter. And
it's like,
Arcane was a studio that made only like single player, like narrative driven, single player games, and they said make us a multiplayer looter shooter, and guess what? It didn't turn out very well.
And like, well, we don't know how to do that. Like, we don't really do that. Like, that's not our thing. And they're like, well, too bad. So, I guess my point is 2024 is probably going to get dominated at least in the first 6 months, or the first half of it. It's probably going to be dominated in the sales numbers by these smaller studio games, because they're just like, the smaller studios are like figuring out, and players are figuring out, well, I don't have to invest as much into Helldivers and I get more out of it. Like, I invest so much into Suicide Squad for $70. And like, again, like, look at all the microtransactions that are already built into it.
Well, and then they have a bunch of microtransactions. They want you to buy the battle pass. They want you to buy like cosmetics, I'm sure, and I don't know what else they have in that game. But those are the two like main things. Usually, it's cosmetics and it's battle pass. Like
that investment is so heavy. And then you look at not the same game, but Helldivers. My guess is Helldivers is you just buy the game and the packet, you get the whole package. There's no extra.
I mean, I think
bells
they have
and whistles.
some. I think they have some. I think they have some micro. They do have microtransactions in the
Mhm.
game, from as far as I know. But I'm pretty sure they're cosmetic.
But I'm guessing there's no battle pass. I'm guessing when
don't think
you're
there's a
when
battle
you're going
pass.
into every game, the expectation is you jump in. The gameplay loop is pretty simple. Your investment is not half, but pretty close to half compared to Suicide Squad. And guess what? I think you're just getting a better game. So you're like, the whole time you're thinking, why am I going to invest $70 in this? Have to deal with the impending doom of Suicide Squad's going to be when the number hits a certain point. What's going to happen to the game? I mean, but it just seems like some of these other games, like Power World, I'm sure Power World is still running pretty strong. Maybe not, definitely not as strong as like 2 weeks ago, but strong. I'm guessing something like not Last Epoch, but even like other survival games that have just come out are doing better than this, much better than this.
So
and your commitment is $30. Like you commit $30.
How much is Helldivers? Is what, 40?
I think it's 40.
40. Okay. Yeah.
But again, like 70 to 40, and you could argue I'm getting way more from Helldivers.
Yeah. So Helldivers Steam charts, all-time peak is the 24-hour peak. So in the last 24 hours, 458,208, so 458,000, and playing 38 minutes ago, 331,000. So.
Right.
And Pal World, all-time peak 2,101,535.
So wild.
But still, 24-hour peak 349,735, and playing 38 minutes ago 247,823.
That's
so
wild.
They're
That's
still
so crazy.
getting like hundreds of thousands. Obviously, like 2 million. That's freaking.
That's
nutty,
wild.
But
It's wild. Like that's still amazing. I just pulled up Nightingale too, just to end my point here. Nightingale came out 48 hours ago, and right? Am I right? 48 hours ago? I believe it was 48 hours ago. It came out. It came out like maybe a couple more days ago. But my point is, it came out and it had server issues. And in fact, they're already working on an offline mode. This is like a bunch of ex-BioWare devs, by the way. This is like one of the BioWare team people as well is involved in this. So they're working on an offline mode because the biggest complaint in the game right now is there's no offline mode. And when the servers are bad, like there needs to be an offline mode for a game like this, is what people are saying. But people are complaining. It's got like mixed reviews. Its 24-hour peak is still 32K, which is really good. Its all-time peak is 3x that of Suicide Squad. This is not the same game as Suicide Squad, not the same genre, but like, I think it just.
I mean,
you're investing so much less, and
it's
you're
also
getting.
not. That game's not official release. That's early access.
This is early access.
It's early access.
But still, I think my point is, again, I invested $26 into this game, and I can tell you I'll probably get as much out of it as I would have on Suicide Squad. And it's just, I'm kind of at the point where I'm like, AAA games, I'm not saying they're bad, they're not, but like, when your investment is starting to become $70, you look at a game like Lethal Company and go, well, I can get this for $10 and it's going to give me hundreds of hours of playtime. Hundreds.
Yeah.
Why would I put $70 into that thing when I could put 10 into that? That's going to be the like thing. And that's what's causing some of these $30 to $40 games to start blowing up. And they're dominating the headlines right now. Like all of them are. Power World, Helldivers.
Yeah.
I
mean,
games.
For me, there's still plenty of like full price games that I want, that I like and I want to buy, mostly in the JRPG space. For me, Persona, Final Fantasy, Unicorn Overlord is coming out in a couple of weeks. It's like those games are full price, and I'm gonna pay full price for them.
Yeah, of course.
I'm gonna be happy with them. But I mean, I agree with you. The indies are big, and like, it's hard to call like Helldivers indie, but
it is.
But yeah, these $30 to $40 games that are like pretty
Double
good
A.
productions, basically double A projects, and yeah, as Go said all in the chat, a bunch of the publishers, Square Enix being one of them that I remember specifically say like, yep, we're their double A projects like aren't meeting their expectations, so they're just kind of dumping a lot of double A projects and just focusing all in on like the triple A basket, and that feels like the opposite of what they should be doing.
It's a problem of you're doing the wrong stuff with your double A's. Like you're missing your double A's, so you're taking that as like, oh well, that's the norm.
I mean, I think Square Enix just doesn't know how to budget. Like, I think their budgeting is just fucking terrible. It feels like they spend way too much on even their double A project. Obviously, their big Final Fantasies are just like wild, but
I mean, Final Fantasies are probably their bigger budget projects.
It seems like they just don't know how to budget properly, and they just spend too much money on.
Yeah, they probably just
pretty much every game they make. So
too optimistic.
So they make Octopath Traveler 2 and it needs to sell like 3 million copies to break even, and it's just like nonsense. It's like, okay,
it's
guys,
like yeah, I don't know. Helldivers, I'll call it a double A game, but
yeah,
I don't know. That's I mean, like, look, like for we're gonna talk about Final Fantasy Rebirth, obviously, like that's coming up, but like I'll just jump to it right now. Like this is a AAA game. It's gonna be great. Like you can already see the reviews coming in. It's gonna be great. I'm not contesting this game isn't gonna be good because I think that the other AA indie games are doing super well and they're selling like crazy. I just think that if I'm a fan of Final Fantasy, I'm gonna buy it, right? But like if I'm on the fence about another AAA game, like let's say I like looter shooters, Suicide Squad comes out, like I don't necessarily know a lot about Suicide Squad, but looter shooters are kind of in there for me. I'm interested in looter shooters, but then I see something like Helldivers comes out, and I see all this stuff, and I'm just like, well, why would I pay $70 for Suicide Squad when I can get $40 for Helldivers? And this other thing over here looks just so much more fun. What's my investment? I don't know why I would even want to do it anymore. The price tag going up is causing me to question what I want to invest in. For you, you're gonna buy Final Fantasy 7 Rebirth. Nothing's stopping you there. Nah, and so is a bunch of other people.
I pre-ordered it like a month and a half ago or something. So
a bunch of other people are gonna buy it. Of course they are. And it looks great. And the number of videos of Tifa in a bathing suit over the last 24 hours.
Twitter is just going wild with that shit.
Is wild. I'm just like, okay, it's Tifa in a bathing suit. Yeah, it is. There you go. So there's still so much excitement here. I can't bring myself to feel like, especially now that games are getting to be $70. I'm finding myself more and more going, well, these survival games. This is why I like survival games. I'm getting into survival games. Like, well, I can pay like $30 and I get like a 40-hour survival experience, and like I'm kind of good with like messing around in there, and then just 140 to 100 hours. Like Pal World was one of the best investments you'll ever make. You get like tons of fun times in that and co-op in that. For me, I'm less enthusiastic about, okay, here's the next $70 big budget Suicide Squad game that looks absolutely mind-blowingly mediocre. Oh, here comes $70 Skull and Bones. Maybe not the best examples, by the way, but look at how mediocre this is going to be.
Yep.
And I'm just like, what the hell? Bring me more of these smaller games. Give me more $30 like survival AA projects over here. These are great for my money investment. So that's it. I just wanted to say, like, I think this 2024, at least the beginning of it, for the first, we'll say 6 months, Final Fantasy 7 Rebirth and some of those games are going to be obviously like, they're going to be a big hit. But when you look back on the sales, you're going to go, huh, isn't that interesting? The top 5 selling games this year all happen to be non-AAA games.
Yep.
And Lethal Company was 2023, so I guess I'm not really counting it, but like it was so far towards the end of it that
Elden Ring, the Elden Ring DLC is gonna go fucking crazy though. Like,
yeah, that'll sell extremely well.
Yeah,
of course it will. We have that as well over here. let's just jump into the review of Final Fantasy Rebirth. If you have anything else to add, by the way, please add it. But these reviews are great. I mean, I'm not surprised at these reviews at all.
Yeah, I mean, 93 is like...
It's kind of what I expected.
93 is pretty crazy. I mean, I was expecting them to be like high 80s, low 90s. I mean, I guess their 93 is technically low 90s, but you're encroaching on mid 90s there with 93. So
yeah, that's tough. That's tough.
And I mean, what's like Zelda and Baldur's
Gate was a 94, 95.
Yeah, 94, 95. So like once you get like 93, 94, 95, you're like, okay, you're approaching like game of all time territory, right?
You're looking at best game of the decade, best game of the last, one of the best to ever be made, like one of those like games that potentially changes the landscape in some way.
Yeah, and when I went through the reviews, there's a few more now. The lowest score for this game was a 7.5.
Sure, somebody's not gonna like it as much as
there was like one 7.5. There was a couple of 8s, like GameSpot gave it an 8, and then after that, there's like a couple of 8.5s as well, and then everything else is like 990 and above.
Yeah,
so it's pretty wild.
Makes sense. I mean, this is one of the big Square projects. Square's gonna hit a home run on the Final Fantasy projects, right? They're gonna hit home runs on these.
Well, actually, I mean, 16 was a pretty big hit. We talked about
16.
I have my complaints about 16, but it was generally well received, well liked, sold well.
Mm-hmm.
Recently they've been hitting 15 was not good. It reviewed okay when it came out, but that game was not good.
I don't think it was one of their home runs. I don't think that was a home run.
It probably sold well because it's still Final Fantasy.
It's
just got the name recognition.
But like, okay, Final Fantasy 7 remake. Then we had 16. Okay, 16 was I'm gonna say it's home run. I know you have your complaints, but we'll call it a home run for now because it did review well.
It reviewed well, and it
probably sold really well too.
It didn't sell as much as Square wanted it to, but again, they suck ass at budgeting, so
we missed the mark. I'm like, well, I mean, you probably just were a little bit too much optimistic on that one, guys.
Basically, like, from what I heard, 16 it made money. It did make money,
sure,
but it didn't make enough money to make up for all their flops over the past few years with like Babylon's Fall and Marvel's Avengers and like whatever else.
Lofty expectations on that one. That it's not making up for those garbage.
I mean, also again,
disasters.
it's a PS5 exclusive. I think it'll probably come to PC eventually, but it's still a PS5 exclusive right now.
It'll come PC and make up a little bit more. Yeah. This one's gonna sell extremely well, obviously.
Again, being a PS5 exclusive is gonna hurt the sales a little bit because it's a console exclusive.
And then in like 2 years, I don't remember what their window is.
In 2 years, it'll probably come to PC.
It'll come PC. But yeah, I mean, good stuff. This is supposed to be a trilogy, right? So this is the second one.
Yes, it's supposed to be a trilogy.
I can't wait for some more ghosts or something like that. Any more plot ghosts?
I mean, we already saw in one of their last trailer that the plot ghosts are back.
Oh, they're back?
Wonderful. They're back.
Well, I'm sorry. Forgive me. All I've been seeing is, look, it's Tifa in a bathing suit.
Yeah,
and
look, I'm like, it's Tifa.
To me, I'm like, yeah, I get it. It's like you get an attractive waifu anime character. I got it, but man, do we all have to share it? We're all sharing it?
I literally saw someone say on Twitter that Tifa is flat. I'm like, you gotta be kidding me.
What I saw was somebody said, and I'm actually just going to take their word for it because I know somebody did the math on it. They said, look, they made her boobs bigger again. And I said, I'm actually going to trust you on that because I know you did the math. I know you did the math.
They did the side-by-side comparison.
They did a comparison. Somebody's like, oh, they actually made him bigger again. And to me, I'm like, okay, like, my first thought is, who the fuck cares? But I know somebody did the math to figure that out, so I'm going to trust that they did that. And then somebody was like, look, they're learning again. Bringing back the fan service is helping them. And they did the comparison of, like, Tifa having bigger boobs and a bathing suit. And that game that's coming out from the South Korean developer that recently got some
Stellar Blade.
Stellar Blade. Thank you, because the character has like a nice back view.
Yeah.
And they're like, look, they're giving us fan service again. Censorship's going away on these characters' bodies. And I'm like, guys, this is like the whole Cassandra Dragon Age thing again. It's just all coming back to me. I'm just like, guys, I get it. Like, it's nice seeing the attractive ladies. I get it, but
Gamers are horny boys. We get it.
you guys need to
Chill.
tone it down just a tiny bit, like a little. Take it down a level. You're getting close to 10. Let's get it back down to like 7 or 8. 7 or 8 was good.
I'll stay at 7 or 8.
Let's keep it 7 or 8. Where Tifa video came out, and we're getting back to 10 again. And I'm like, okay, that's fine. Let's just bring it back down a little bit, guys. Zip your pants up. So anyway, any thoughts on FF7 Rebirth reviews besides Tifa's?
I mean, I haven't played it yet. I mean, I haven't played the demo yet either, to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, most of the reviews from what I saw are saying that, you know, the combat is pretty much better in every way from 7 Remake. 7 Remake, I really liked the combat in, but it wasn't perfect. It had I had some complaints about the combat, said it's better in every way. We've got open world. We've got, you know, open world here, which, like, supposedly, you know, I mean, it's pretty, but apparently, you know, it's just pretty big. It's empty here and there, not like a ton of like enemies to fight, and like, but there's decent stuff to do in the open world. And apparently the GameSpot reviewer, most of his complaints gave it an 8 were about the story, and that's completely subjective. If you don't like the story, you don't like the story, that's fine.
If you don't, I get that.
And apparently the mini games are pretty good, and there's, at least from what we've seen in trailers, there's a lot of them.
Whoa, good mini games. Hold on.
Nomura went wild with his mini games in this one, and apparently people like the mini games, especially they have like a card game in this one that is apparently pretty good. So
that's wild. Good mini games.
Yeah.
Couldn't
be Cage 3.
I'm about to say, like, come on, like, I'm still sour about those mini games. I'm still sour. That's wild.
I mean, they're not all stinkers in Cage 3. There's some good ones, but Frozen is rough. That's
mini games that got to me were Cage 3 and then Engage.
Oh.
Engage.
Well, because Engage, the mini games suck, and you literally have to do them every time you go back to the base.
Oh my god. Do
I
some push-ups.
Can't believe that, like, I heard, like, so many people, like, the Fire Emblem, like, YouTube community and stuff, say they like the Somniel better than the Monastery from Three Houses, and I just think they're fucking insane. Like, the Somniel is dog shit.
I don't know how you make that argument. I don't know how. Want to do some push-ups? No. I'm just happy to hear mini games are good. Anytime I hear mini games are good, I'm like, okay, I'm good with that. As long as people are actually saying the mini games are good. But man, the KH3, let's rebuild Olaf. Woo.
Yeah. And this game, as opposed to like FF7 Remake, where, you know, it took like maybe 30-40 hours to like beat the game, and you could basically 100% the game in about that, other than because you had to beat the game on the hardest difficulty in order to get the platinum trophy, which required a second playthrough because it didn't unlock
until you actually beat it. Yep.
Until you beat the game once. So that was a bit unfortunate, but like you could basically 100% the game in like 40 to 50 hours in the first game. Apparently this one, you can beat the story in like around 40 hours or so, apparently, but if you want 100%, you're looking at like around 100, to be honest, for this game.
Okay.
I mean, it's a big ass open world game, so you're expecting there's going to be a lot more to do.
Yeah.
So
I'm just going to assume that there's much more.
And the other like minor complaints I heard is apparently the performance. So there's graphics mode and there's performance mode. Graphics mode is really pretty, but you're like locked. I think it's locked 30 FPS.
Okay.
performance mode is 60 FPS, but apparently it gets like blurry here and there. So,
Oh boy. Oh goody.
yeah, we'll see. Here's my thing, by the way. Can we just like stop with? We don't need to improve like graphics. For me, graphics are good enough as they are right now. I don't really need them to improve anymore and keep like increasing the budgets of these games.
Yeah.
Can we just like
Can we calm down?
stick with graphics where they are? And can we just get like consistent, beautiful 60 FPS with these like this level of graphics?
Right.
Can we just, instead of increasing graphics more and we need like a performance mode and a graphics mode, can we just stick with these graphics and just make it run better?
Right.
Like, give me the fast load times, make it run silky smooth at like 60 FPS plus, if you can even do better than that. Like, can we just do that instead of continually improving graphics marginally?
Nope.
So
Nope. My biggest ask would be, I would very much like games to start focusing a bit more on the storage issue. I think storage is the biggest issue. It's because
compress.
And it's because they're using the high resolution assets. So it is partly graphics. Like, you don't have to use the highest resolution asset that you can possibly find. Can we bring the storage requirements down from 150 gigabytes? Can we just bring that down to under 100 again? Like, let's just start there. The game is 150 gigabytes, by the way. I feel this. Yeah, like, can we bring it down? And it's because of the high resolution assets they keep using.
The demo for this game is 50 gigabytes.
Yeah,
the
like,
demo.
Can we bring this down?
The demo is 50 gigabytes. Like,
my thing is, let's bring the storage requirement down. Let's just say like under 100. You don't have to use the highest resolution assets possible. You can make the game look really nice while bringing it under 100 gigabytes. I know it's possible. I've seen plenty of nice looking games that are 100 gigabytes. So yeah, total storage is 700. You could only fit 4 games. Yeah, so like, it's getting ridiculous. Bring them down. Let's get them under 100. Let's start there, and let's compress them down. Okay, let's bring them down.
Let's rein it in. Let's rein it in.
I'd like to see that. That's my biggest ask of.
Yeah.
150. Wow. Holy moly! The resolution, the assets in there must just be absolutely out of control.
It's a big game. It's a big game too. Like, it's just a big world, and all that stuff. So.
Let's bring it down. Just under 100. That's my ask. If I can get under 100, I'm feeling better. Anyway, this game isn't. So, anything else on Rebirth?
Yeah. No, I'm good. I agree with you though. What I said. Let's stick with where we are right now. Make the game run better, load faster, and let's work on compression as well. Let's get those file sizes down as well.
Let's do that. Elden Ring DLC. I've seen something online that says this will be $40.
That wouldn't surprise me. I didn't see that, but that's about what I guess what it will be.
So this is Elden Ring Shadow of the Erd Tree.
I mean, this DLC, by the time it comes out, will have been in development for like 2.5 years.
$40. I would expect it's going to be an expansion on the open world side. So you're going to get definitely new area. I imagine you're going to get plenty to do in that new area.
New bosses.
New bosses. Like $40, 2.5 years of runtime, gets people back into the game who maybe stepped away for a little bit from it. $40 might be worth for something like that. I mean, especially if you really enjoyed the game. Like, I don't see why not. You can either get this DLC for $40, or you can go get Skull and Bones. Think about your options.
Yep.
This isn't coming out till June, though. To be fair, so you got time.
June.
But I think $40 isn't too bad. I think it'll be. I think that sounds fine, as long as you're getting that new like a big new area bosses. That area is going to come with new stuff as well to explore. Like that could be $40. Really, if they give Game of the Year to this, this shouldn't. Don't give DLC a Game of the Year. Don't.
Yeah. You can let it win the deal. Like there's always like a DLC or expansion category.
Ongoing,
you can let it win
whatever.
that. You can let it win that category. That's fine. But this shit better not be even nominated for
No.
Game of the Year. It's a DLC. It's not a full game.
No,
Like,
this is not a full game. Don't do that. It already got its moment. Let's just leave it.
we know that everybody jizzed their pants when Elden Ring came out.
We
don't need
got
to
it.
do I mean, it's gonna happen again, but we don't need to give Game of the Year to it like two out of
No, I
3
wouldn't.
years. Like,
I wouldn't. I would not even give this the opportunity. It's a DLC. It's not a full release. But I mean, a lot of people like Elden Ring. I imagine this DLC is going to sell well, even if it is $40. Doesn't matter.
it doesn't matter.
As long as there's the content to
Elden
support
Ring
it.
sold like 10 million or plus or something like that. It was ridiculous.
Some real high, real good sales. I don't have much to say. I think as long as there's enough to justify 40, whatever, doesn't matter. Okay, let's do partner. I personally don't have a lot to say about everything in here, but I do want to mention like a couple things. We already talked about Grounded. I'm going to skip that one.
Yep, that's fine.
Unicorn Overlord was in here for.
Yep.
That was for you, by the way.
Yeah, and they announced the demo, which came out first on Switch, but is now available on everything. But it's available on everything but PC now.
Got it.
The demo, and yeah, well, we'll talk about it in topics. So
yeah,
we can move on. But yeah, this game, I'm excited for this game right now.
I saw this. This is like the Monster Hunter Stories. Is this the first Monster Hunter? Like, was this one of the like?
It's the first
really
Monster
early?
Hunter. It's a remake of the first Monster Hunter Stories. I forget what. I think they said this one was on like 3DS or something like that originally. So it's just a port / remaster of I think it's a 3DS game or something.
Yeah, I saw that one. Here's another one I saw which I found interesting, and I want to explain why I find this interesting. Did Epic Mickey did that do well? I thought that was like kind of like a mediocre game when it came out.
Yeah, but it became a cult classic.
Okay.
Like, yeah, it didn't like the Epic Mickey games. I feel like didn't review very well, nor did they sell very well when they came out. At least from what I remember.
Right, that's what I remember.
But they became kind of cult. They kind of became a bit cult classic-y, where there's people that love them and swear by them basically. So yeah.
Okay, I'm not saying it's not cool to see a. I'm gonna call this like a remake. I mean, it says rebrushed, so I don't fully know what it's gonna be. It looks like maybe just a remaster.
By the way, like that frame rate looks like shit.
This was on the. I'm pretty sure this was on the Wii. Yeah, this was on the Wii, by the way. So
was it Wii or was it the gen? It wasn't the generation before, was it?
Yeah, I think it was Wii.
GameCube, was it?
Pretty sure it was Wii. I expect like 30 FPS, kind of like maybe even lower. I mean, like, I did see this one. This one got some interest from people. I don't know. I thought this was interesting. I always thought this was kind of a mediocre game, so I was like, oh, okay, interesting. Does anything on Switch run above 30? Nope. I don't think so. What about Switch 2? Switch 2 will hopefully get that to 60. Shin Megami Tensei 5 Vengeance. I assume this was a DLC. I wasn't.
It's not a deal. It's not a DLC. It's like a definitive edition with like an extra story.
It's a definitive edition.
On. But they're gonna make you buy. It's like Persona 5 Royal. They're gonna make you buy the whole game again. Basically, I don't think you're gonna be able to like buy $30 or $40 if you own the base game already. I don't think you're gonna be able to pay $30 or $40 to like tack this on to that. I think you're just gonna have to buy the game again, which is I mean, it's shitty, but that's the Atlas tax right there. They always
Atlas tax is wild.
It's the Atlas tax. Like, well, I mean, so I think the Atlas tax started with like their 3DS games, or their DS games or 3DS games, I don't remember. Whereas like usually those games cost like 30 to 40. The Atlas ones always cost 50. Like they usually put a little like extra like collectible in there or something like that with even the base version of the game to like I guess justify the cost. But like there was no cheaper version. You had to buy like
That's
the $50 edition of like Shin Megami Tensei 4 or something like that. Like it was a 3DS game,
That's
and
funny.
it was $50. Like
That's funny.
the Atlas tax.
I like that. That's really funny.
And then this shit where they do like this like final mix or definitive edition version of like which looks like it's gonna be mostly the same game. I don't know how much is added on, but again, they make you buy the game again.
Right.
It's the same thing with like Persona 5 Royal. You can't just buy. You can't if you own Persona 5. You can't pay like $30 to like tack on the Royal stuff
You have to pay
to
the
your
full
version
price.
of. No, you have to buy the whole game again.
I just hate that.
Just
I
is
hate
what
that,
it
by
is.
the way. I hate it. But it's how they make their extra bucks. So
Yep.
it's how they're making their extra bucks. Well, it
And,
is what
and
it is.
Atlas fans are quite loyal. To be
Oh.
honest.
They'll buy it again. They don't. I imagine if you're a fan,
I didn't love SMT5, so I may not buy Vengeance here. It depends. If there's nothing else out at the time, I might. But
okay.
We'll see.
The last thing I wanted to personally mention, because I mean, I guess I could mention one other thing, but Battlefront Classic Collection coming to Switch, I thought was interesting. Obviously, the Battlefront community is I'm sure the Battlefront community might be a little bit excited for something like this.
Yeah.
So I thought this was cool.
I felt like with this direct, they kind of like shot out their bullets in the first half, and the second half was pretty boring.
That's exactly what I was gonna get to.
Yeah.
I was like, the rest of this afterwards was kind of like, okay.
There's one more thing that you did glance over. It's Gundam Breaker 4.
And I'm a big no on that. I'm probably the biggest no possible. I don't think there's any way someone could get me to try and commit to a Gundam Breaker again. I think this looks like, when I was looking, I was like, okay, like I can see the appeal. Like the customization looks pretty darn cool.
Why I know you got burned with New Gundam Breaker.
I got burned
and
bad.
So did I. But this looks like it's back to what Gundam Breaker was, which is 1 through 3. And they're pretty much scrapping everything that New Gundam Breaker was,
thank
which
God.
was complete dog shit. And they're going back to like what Gundam Breaker was before, which was actually good.
Thank God.
So I would say, I'm not gonna tell you to just frickin' trust it and buy it, but keep an eye on it. I mean, even looking at it here, it looks way fucking better than New Gundam Breaker, doesn't it? Like,
no, it does, and I am aware it looks better. The most infuriating part of the whole thing was getting burned and then having people go,
oh yeah,
do you think it's good? And I go, no, and they're like, I think I'll get it. I'm like,
yeah.
why'd you even ask then?
I remember that in your stream. You're streaming it, and like people, this happened like 3 or 4 times in your stream.
People kept subbing.
Some person comes in, they either sub or they come in and they're like, yeah, glad to see you playing it. Do you like the game? You're like, no, this game's dog shit. Don't buy it. And they're like, I'm gonna buy it. You're like, don't buy it. It sucks.
Stop! Like stop asking me then. I don't think it's good. Stop.
Gundam fans or something, man. They're just like, yeah, we're gonna buy it.
This is like, help me. It was actually help me. And I think somebody probably construed that as like, oh, they want help to play the game. But I'm like, no, I need help. Like this is killing me.
Why am I playing this? This game sucks.
This is killing me.
So yeah, this is back to what Gundam Breaker is and should be, and not whatever abomination they tried to do with New Gundam Breaker. Like,
I was actually so upset because I was like, oh, this is gonna be great. I remember watching the Gunpla series, like that. This could be really fun, and then me going, wow, this is fucking terrible. What am I doing?
Yeah, that game was really bad.
Oh man, it was so bad.
And the first 3 Gundam Breakers only released in Japan. But I did import Gundam Breaker 3. I don't remember if I did it after New Gundam Breaker or before. I think it was after. And I was like, oh, this is what Gundam Breaker should be. Got it.
Yeah.
New Gundam Breaker is freaking dog shit.
Yeah, I just couldn't. Yeah.
I would say keep your eye on
Okay.
it. I'll probably buy it. Maybe you wait for me to buy it, and I'll tell you.
Okay,
that
you can tell me
that it's good, and then you can think about it after that.
You
But,
definitely tell me because like man,
it doesn't look like it's gonna be New Gundam Breaker. New Gundam Breaker was fucking horrible. That game was so bad.
it was like
that game was a travesty. That
I
game
wanted
was
to cry.
That game was an abomination.
I wanted to cry. It was my stream title was a call for help. I was like, please save me.
The game was like the gameplay sucked. It was like didn't run well. It was like laggy here and there.
Everything was bad. It was boring.
The story was fucking stupid. Like
it was so bad. I was like, what?
It was all bad. There was almost nothing good about New Gundam Breaker. It was so bad.
Really tragic. It was really tragic. It really hurt me. My soul like really hurt after that. I do want to mention this one really quickly. I thought this was like kind of cool. You could like have like 30 people go in like a dive underwater. I don't know why. I just thought like out of everything here in the back of the list, I was like, okay, like it's interesting that they ended on this. And actually was like quite a bit of time to end on.
Had a chunk.
It had a decent chunk. I thought it was kind of like cool as like okay, you get like 30 people, you go in a dive. There's a bunch of cool stuff underwater. Like, all right, fine. So it looks good. Other than that, I thought the first half of this was good. I thought the second half of it definitely was just a lot of other stuff. I mean, there's the Pentiment, by the way.
Oh yeah.
There's
pretty boring.
This online Switch pack one, by the way.
Oh yeah.
This kind of made me mad looking at it. I was like, okay, if you're fans of these games, I think it's fine. Like Battletoads, sure, Killer Instinct, whatever. But like these make me mad because I'm like, look, we gave you 5 more games, and all I can think of is Nintendo. Can you just find a way to give us the whole gosh darn library? Can we just get the whole library now?
They're really slow about it.
Like you guys are so slow. It's wild. Why are you so slow? Maybe they're faster. Maybe I'm just not seeing it. I do think in the background, in between these events, like they are adding stuff to the library. But like, I don't know. It's like, okay, only 5. Great.
And don't forget, you have to pay for expansion pass, which is still super fucking overpriced.
Yeah, you have to pay the expansion passes and like the extra package, right, for Nintendo or the 64, the N64 stuff. It's just Anyway, that's all I had for this direct. I don't know if you have anything else to. Oh, you do.
I mean,
okay.
yeah, I agree. I mean, I thought the first half of the direct was pretty good, and the second half was really boring.
Yeah, I'm with you. That's how I felt. Okay. My topic was we pretty much already covered, so I'm good. I will just mention I did play Nightingale. Nightingale had mixed reviews because there were server issues, but Nightingale was like I played it once. I think it's pretty okay so far. I think if you're a survival game person, you're probably best to just stick with something like Enshrouded. Yeah. That was the new game I played this week. I think everything else I've been playing has been much of the same. So that is all I wanted to say.